What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Good Game Sportscast. Today we've got some trade talks. The trade deadline has just passed as of yesterday. We've had really not even just a trade deadline day, but like a trade deadline week that's gone on. A lot of crazy stuff going on. Major pieces that were supposed to be forever pieces getting moved. Some minor moves, teams getting a lot better, teams getting a lot worse. And we're here to break it down for you guys.
I'm Brett. I'm joining in for the podcast this time around.
I'm Noah. I'm joining into the podcast as well.
So the way we kind of decided to set this up is we have a tier list of 5 tiers here. You guys know I've done plenty of tier lists on the channel before. Nothing new. Today we've got major dubs, so teams that have vastly improved for the trade deadline. We've got helpful teams that, picked up a few pieces that'll help them along the way, but nothing too major. We've got Stahl, Jordan Stahl. That's the funny spelling there. Teams that kind of just stayed stagnant, didn't make too many moves. If they did make a move, it was kind of a minor piece, maybe some contract stuff. You got sellers who are basically like selling off a couple of their key players, trying to enter a little bit of a rebuild. And then you get the blow it up tier, which is where teams kind of just sent their entire roster to everyone else and are tanking for Connor Bedard.
Yep. And that's what they're doing, that's for sure.
You've got probably a good 5 to 8 teams right now that I would say are seriously in contention for getting Connor Bedard just because of how bad they are playing.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw TSN's parody song about that. Their Bad for Bedard song, but it describes a lot of the teams that we will be talking about on this podcast. But anyway, do we want to start it off?
All right, so do we want to go in order here? Do we want to just go bounce around and go places random? It's really...
Let's go places that you feel passionate about.
Places that I feel passionate about? Well, this one sucks to do because anyone who's been a longtime follower of this podcast knows how much I despise the New York Rangers. Unfortunately, the New York Rangers had probably the best trade deadline.
Yeah. I would probably put them at the top category. Unfortunately,
so they're going to major dub, and unfortunately, they're not the only team in the Metro that's getting a major dub out of trade deadline week. But we'll talk about the elephant in the room. One of the biggest trades of the trade deadline, Patrick Kane being sent there, and it took a long time for them to get that trade out.
Oh yeah.
I think part of it was the contract negotiations with Arizona where they had that third-party buy-in type of thing. But, the Rangers getting Kane, and they loaded up on a couple other players. I don't have it loaded up here. But, actually, you got one for the teams.
Yeah,
they did get Tarasenko.
And he immediately proved to be good for the Rangers as well. He was scoring from the day he got in. He was huge to their lineup, and now you have Kane on top of that. Let's see, we got a full lineup of people. They didn't really get much after that, really. The main ones are, of course.
The Rangers got Mott back, I think.
They did get Tyler Mott.
Yeah. But other than
Tyler Mott back. I'm looking to see the rest of these trades real fast. There's a lot of talent that they got back to their lineup, but now they're like a top, or possibly could be a top team in the league. Even though the season's really winding down for the Rangers, but I think that they're going to be very, very successful with this.
Definitely.
Here is my one problem with the Rangers, and it is something you realized today when they played Boston. Now, nothing sucks about losing to Boston because that's a whatever. It just happens. They've got 50 wins, I think, this year. The New York Rangers are currently in cap space hell.
Yes, that is true.
They can't even afford to start a full lineup of players. So, which is leading to players playing increased minutes, which today kind of came back and bit them. You had I think they went with 11 forwards and 5 defensemen, which is 1 forward and 1 defenseman less than you would want to start in an actual game. That had consequences. You have mixed lines all the time because if you don't have a full forward line or a full defense line, they start flip-flopping around. People getting mixed amount of minutes, and it's just not a good look. So I think the Rangers, if they can solve their cap space situation, will be a top 3 team in the NHL. Definitely. But until they figure that out, I don't think they could win the Cup this year solely because they can't sport a full team currently.
Gotcha. Yeah, I agree with that. And then I'm just taking a look at their lineups. They have a lot of names that are pretty big. One of their lineups, Chris Kreider, Mika Zibanejad, Vladimir Tarasenko, three major names, and the number one defensive pair is Nico Mikola and Adam Fox, another two bigger names. And for their second line, Panarin, Trocheck, and Kane, also huge names as well. I mean, their other lines aren't as big, but they're still pretty decent. But those first two lines are absolutely crazy for the Rangers. I mean, they're looking pretty dangerous. I mean, they still have the cap space issues, but I mean, they have some serious firepower now, especially from the trades that they made before the trade deadline.
Definitely a team to look out for. All right, let's see. Where should we go next? What other teams jump out of my mind of teams that made a lot of moves? Oh, I've got one that made a lot of moves and I think did pretty well. The Toronto Maple Leafs had I would say a really good trade deadline / week. I can't even call it a deadline anymore because it's like you see people doing all these things early nowadays, like early applications for college, early voting. Now it's the early trade deadline. Like the trade deadline could have been last weekend, and it wouldn't have made too much of a difference, it feels like. Ryan O'Reilly being the big piece here. I'm pretty sure he got like a hat trick in his first game or like second game with the Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
Really killed that trade. You got Eric Gustafsson back. I think he played for them before. You actually got, it looks like, according to this, they got a first round pick. They got a third round and then a couple other picks and some depth pieces.
I mean, that comes into play here for the Maple Leafs because, I mean, they're not a rebuild team. I mean, they're looking to be, I mean, they're number 2 in the Atlantic right now, right? They're going to be the number 1 competitor in their division against Boston. Now, I mean, there's always the thing that Leafs fans say that this is their year, and then they get they go to Game 7 in the first round and lose like they did last time and many times before that. But, I mean, still, they picked up some good stuff on this trade deadline, and they're still major contenders. I mean, they also got some major names backing them up as well. I think that there's a lot to see from them. Honestly, I would put them as an upset to win at least one series. I don't know how true that may be.
Well, their one series right now, I believe, would be the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah.
So I definitely, you know what? I'm going to put a guarantee on it right now. I think the Maple Leafs finally get past the first round of the playoffs on one condition, and that's their goaltending does not crap their pants like they do every year.
That's true. Yeah,
Their goaltending situation for Toronto is Matt Murray and Ilya Samsonov, and they're not two very good goaltenders, but they're not horrific. They're a medium. I guess you could say they're kind of mid, which is kind of a hot take. But Matt Murray coming from Pittsburgh and then going to Ottawa, and then now he's on the Maple Leafs, and you have Ilya who was a Capital and now a Maple Leaf, which is, and both of those goaltenders have had not too bad of records, but they could have definitely have chosen some better goalies for their team.
I feel like this is a similar situation to what the Hurricanes did a few years ago when they moved on from Mrazek and Reimer. When we traded for Frederik Andersen and Antti Ranta, I don't think anyone would have predicted that they would have been as solid as they have been for the Hurricanes. Because, I mean, not to say that either of them were scrubs before coming to Carolina, but they were both middle of the pack. Freddie definitely had a couple of good seasons. Ranta bounced around for a while, but they both had pretty good seasons beforehand. But after coming to Carolina, becoming a duo, they've been really good. And it seems that Toronto's kind of sort of doing the same thing with Samsonov and Matt Murray. But we'll have to see. I mean, the entire thing with Toronto is, will they finally win a freaking playoff series? It's been since 2004. I was 2 years old. Like, get it together.
That's true. I think Leafs fans would probably be agreeing with you as much as you're dogging on them right now. But I think they have the chance to pull in an upset, especially since Tampa Bay's been kind of wishy-washy this season, especially compared to how they have been previously. I think they got a chance, legitimately.
I mean, I don't even think it would be an upset. I think it would be an upset if Tampa beats them at the rate things are going right now.
Yeah, that's just something. You have to see if the Leafs pull a Leafs move.
The one thing you have to look at, no matter what, for both teams is what are the stars of both teams going to do during the off season or the postseason, I should say, and what are their goalies going to be? Are the Maple Leafs going to come in with goaltenders being very hot and being very good, or are they going in with them needing to be well rested and needing to be top of their game when they're already, not fully there? Or is, because obviously the Tampa has Vasilevsky, which this year he's really been off. But, both teams are going to need a hot goaltender in order to beat either one of each other. And, that's just kind of the biggest thing. I mean, with the Canes playing, obviously, I don't know, who would we play in the playoffs? It would be...
Right now, it's looking like we're getting wild card 1.
Which is Islanders, I think.
Is it the Island? It's like it's in the mix of Islanders. I think Pittsburgh is in the hunt for that. They might be in now. Let's see. No, they're not. Pittsburgh's definitely not. It's the Islanders. It might be Pittsburgh, because I know our three teams are, the Metro's top 3 is in the top 6 of the NHL. We got the Canes, the Devils, and the Rangers. I don't know who currently is number 7. You got to pull up here. It is the Islanders, and then I guess the Panthers are number 8. Speaking of the Panthers, we'll go ahead and start with them. I would say they stalled. I can't recall if the Florida Panthers made any moves.
Let's have a look here.
A little bit further up.
To look here of what I'm seeing, I don't see a single move from Florida.
They just sat stagnant.
That kind of sounds like what they did in their second round game against Tampa.
Ooh!
Think about it. They don't have that bad of a team, nor do they really need anybody that bad. Or also they could be in that cap.
Well, they made that.
They need some cap space to do anything.
Didn't they just yesterday make the trade with Columbus, though, to get Korpisalo and Gavrikov? I mean, none of those are really big, but, I mean, I know that they were pretty active yesterday.
Can we talk about, though, for a second, how, what's his name, just bounced around really fast?
Oh, Jonathan Quick.
Jonathan Quick.
Hang on, so should we do like a...
He went from the Kings to
the Blue Jackets
Columbus for like a day, and then went to Vegas.
Listen, I think Columbus is going to have his name in the rafters one day for how well he played for them.
Well, not only that, who was it? Arizona.
Did he not play? Wait, did he play a game?
He didn't. No. He was there for less than 24 hours and then got bounced to Vegas.
No, and the funny part is that it isn't even only Quick. Everyone's talking about Quick, but of course, Kane was temporarily an Arizona
Coyote, yeah.
And they posted him on their Instagram, and they had the worst Photoshop for him ever.
Oh my God, it was bad.
You got to pull this up.
We got to pull up the Arizona Coyotes Photoshop of it.
Yeah, I think they probably just posted it on Twitter.
This.
I know they post on Instagram, but they probably post on their Twitter. It was the worst render of Patrick Kane in the Coyotes jersey that they could possibly do. And they thanked him, which, I mean, that part's cool. You look at that right now.
Yeah, I want to find this. Let's see if I can find the image on Google somewhere.
There it is.
Yeah, here it is. Oh my God, that is awful.
That render is terrible.
Oh my word.
Don't worry, what do they call it? Mullet Arena now? He's doing Mullet Arena proud.
That is bad.
It's bad render.
That is horrible.
Send me that real fast.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brett. Speaking of which, you want to go ahead and knock Arizona out of the way since we kind of bounced onto them?
Yeah.
Arizona, actually, they sold.
Yeah.
I think they're definitely sellers.
They're sellers.
I don't think they were blowing up because Clayton Keller is still on the team. Nick Schmaltz is still on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're I don't want to say they're core because Arizona's kind of still trying to find a core, but they're a big group of high-end players. For the most part, is still on the team.
Yeah.
I'd say that, I mean, apart from being, the third wheel to the Rangers and Patrick Kane trade, their biggest move was Ghosty Boy.
Ghosty. Yeah.
Who actually scored against them last night in his first career game with the Hurricanes. That is hilarious. He almost had 2. He had one that rung a post like really loud.
Let's see. I'm still trying to find this thing. Let's see. Let's get a full list of what the Coyotes did.
Yeah, full list of Coyotes trade deadline stuff.
Because once again, mostly they gave away some players that were kind of.
Well,
Shea Weber.
The Coyotes.
They did get Shea Weber.
They did get Shea Weber. I'd still say they sold though, based off of what they gave away.
Yeah. But the two bigger players on their team that they got rid of course, Chitron, I guess is how you pronounce it, and then Ghost Bear.
Ghost Despair.
Ghost Despair.
They yeah, they definitely sold quite a little bit there. See, other teams. You guys briefly mentioned the Kings, so we can go over to the Kings and see what theirs look like. I'm not as familiar with what they did, so.
The Canes haven't had a bad, trading. They
Kings.
really weren't that bad.
Kings.
They got Jesse Pugliarvi.
Kings, Kings.
All we've given both teams, we haven't given up a single player. We've only
Mans did not hear me whatsoever.
No, we're talking about the Canes now. I don't know what you're talking about.
The Kings, with a G.
Oh, the Kings.
Yeah, Los Angeles. How did they do?
I don't think I've done much.
They did a little bit.
Getting rid of,
They got rid of Quick, but they got Korpisalo and Gavrikov.
The question is, how much is a goalie? How good is Korpisalo? I don't even really know. I mean, he's not the best, but he's also been somewhat reliable to the Blue Jackets as well.
You know what? I'm gonna put them in helpful, because I think if you look at pieces they moved in and moved out, I think they got 2 quality players and gave away 1 player who was kind of, I don't want to say nearing the end of his career, but I don't foresee Jonathan Quick being too big of an impact player too much longer.
I think it's fair enough. Yeah, I think that they.
I'll give you Korpisalo's his stats currently. He's 11, 11, and 0. He's got a 3.17 goals against average and a .913 save percentage, which really isn't that bad.
No, it's not. Goals against is a bit high.
But he's not too horrible.
Yeah, Gavrikov isn't really, and I don't know exactly what he's like on the ice, but his stats-wise isn't much. But I mean, I think
Columbus has just been such a bad team this year, though. I mean, I wouldn't hold any of the Columbus players right now to any sort of like, oh my God, they're having a bad season, because 1, half their team's in the hospital, and 2, I don't think anyone was expecting Columbus to be good this year.
Oh no.
Like, I definitely think they're one of the tank for Bedard.
Yeah,
teams.
I mean the only real star power that they have is just good row, right?
Mm-hmm. And I would
Player
say,
ranges.
honestly, are they sellers or blow it
They
up?
also have Laine, don't they?
Wait, who?
They also have Patrick Laine, do they not?
I think they do, yeah.
We got John Gillies. Wow, so they just completely.
So they did
overhauled
get a
their net.
2023 conditional first round, but for what they got, it was just the first round. I mean, which still is big, but I mean, in terms of everything, they didn't get like anybody who is going to be player wise. It's going to be very big. So honestly, I mean, I wouldn't put them at the worst.
I say they're sellers.
Yeah,
I don't think they blew it up necessarily.
yeah.
Honestly, I'm not even sure anybody really blew it up. Oh.
No.
Oh no.
Vancouver. I think Vancouver.
Vancouver blew it up.
Let's take a look at Vancouver's.
Bo Horvat.
Bo Horvat.
Gone. JT Miller. Almost gone.
Let's see.
Mentally gone, I guess we could say.
Yeah, Vancouver Canucks fans were not happy the other day.
R.I.P. Shannon.
So I forgot what the trade was, but they traded away a 2023 conditional first round pick to pick up, what was it?
Anthony Villiers? No.
What was it? Krabstock? It's some person that they traded away their 2023 conditional first round pick, and their fans are completely pissed, which makes sense because Vancouver is pretty much just a rebuild team right now. They are just not good.
I'm changing. We're changing the last category to Vancouver because if you look at the trade deadline, their record this year, and the whole Bruce Boudreau situation, that team is a disaster.
Yeah, nobody.
And you know what? We're gonna add. This is a bit unconventional, but I'm adding another row above. We'll make it this lighter green.
That's going to be our actual blow up.
Yeah, that's going to be a blow up. Vancouver is in a tier of their own, and nothing is going to change that.
But, yeah, their fans are completely pissed off because Vancouver, like I said, is a rebuild team right now. They're not doing good. I mean, they're obviously not going to get anywhere in terms of this year's playoffs. They need to rebuild, come back stronger. Horvat's gone now. They got rid of a 2023 first round, like I said, a third round and a fourth round. You know, that they just did not set themselves up for success in terms of acquiring more people for the future of Vancouver's team.
Vancouver is screwed. Like they have their championship window, and this is something that gets thrown around in sports a lot. These whole championship window things. Championship windows normally could be set within a year or two based on how many draft picks you have in your young core that you have now. I couldn't even tell you when Vancouver's championship period or championship time frame begins. Like, they're so far out of it right now, I genuinely don't see them even making the playoffs in the next, 5 or 6 years.
I think that's pretty reasonable, yeah.
And speaking of a team that hasn't made the playoffs in 5 or 6 years, it's actually been quite a bit longer than that. Got a fringe playoff team here in the Buffalo Sabres.
Didn't they say that, Sabres and the Hurricanes are, intense rivals or something, even though it just makes no sense at all?
I think the only reason they're even considered rivals was that one 2006 playoff series.
Probably. Let's see. Let's take a look at what they did. They didn't really.
They stalled.
They didn't really do too much. No.
I'd say I think they Jordan stalled.
I don't think there's too much to really talk about Buffalo.
No, I don't. Buffalo kind of stayed put, and another team that kind of stayed put was Detroit. I'm pretty sure they didn't even make a move. What do you think, Noah? Did Detroit make a move? Did you see anything from them?
Well, so they
right now, I don't really see their name.
Well, Detroit traded for a conditional first round, second round.
But they also traded away Bertuzzi.
That is true. Yeah, I mean, the Red Wings are also not making any progress right now, so they may be really looking at a future.
They're close. They're in that playoff hunt with it. If you look at the Eastern Conference's 8 seed spot, there's 5 teams in the hunt right now.
Yeah, it is kind of surprising.
Yeah, if you go look at it, I think the Islanders, Penguins, and Caps are in it. What are the Atlantic teams? The Senators still technically are involved in it. The Sabres are. The Panthers are. I mean, even the Red Wings aren't that far off, I don't believe. What are they? 3 points? Yeah, so really the only couple teams that are out of it in the East are the Flyers, Jackets, and Canadians.
Yeah,
and
everything else is up.
Honestly, the Canadians have been playing good hockey recently, so I don't want to say they can make it because they're kind of way out of it, but crazy things have happened. But there's a lot of teams in the Eastern playoff hunt. Can we just mention real quick, this is kind of out of the trade deadline thing, but I think the number 1 seed in the West would currently be the number 6 seed in the East.
Oh yeah, the East is a beast right now. Everybody is. I forgot what it was that the Rangers were number 3 in the Metro, but they'd be number 1 in just the entire West.
No, they'd be tied, I think. Yeah, they'd be tied now. No, they wouldn't. They'd be number 2. I think Vegas hasn't beat.
Yeah, number 2.
Yeah, the Golden Knights haven't beat.
Vegas is the only one that hasn't beat. That's just crazy. But I mean, it also makes sense just from the teams that they have in each. I mean, the Eastern Conference is completely stacked right now in terms of teams.
I have one that I would like to bring up.
All right.
The Washington Capitals.
I do not know what they did during the trade.
I think they're finally getting to a point now where they realize that their core that they've won that cup with is done. They're by far the oldest team in the NHL. And I don't mean that. I mean, people say that, and people are like, "Well, they're not that old." I mean, the players themselves are old. Mm-hmm. They need young talent, and they don't have any. So they definitely they sent some pieces out.
Oh yeah, I forgot that they traded Lars Eller.
They traded Lars Eller. They traded Orlov, Johansson, Hathaway, and Gustafsson. Would you say they blew it up? They only got Craig Smith because they traded Orlov, so that's an L. Rasmus Sandin, I don't think. You know what? I'm putting Capitals and blow it up.
You think?
They got a lot of picks for their stuff. They kind of traded away a lot of people. Really, if you look at it, apart from their first line of Ovechkin and maybe what's his face? What's their first line? Kuznetsov. Who do they have left? Nobody. I think the Washington Capitals are blowing up their roster.
Yeah, Tom
they got-
Wilson and T.J. Oshie, Strom. Backstrom is.
I would
good.
still say they blew it up. I mean, they sent away quite a few pieces. So, for what we have right now, they're in blow it up. No, give me a team. Give me a random NHL team.
A team. Let's talk about Vegas. Man.
Vegas. Hey, speaking of Jonathan Quick, he seems to be coming up a lot.
That's like not related. Think about this for a minute. Every year that I think that they've been in the league, they've actually done really well.
That's fair enough.
From the get-go.
They probably have the highest win percentage as a team in league history, only because, one, they've been in the league for like 6 years.
Yeah.
And two, I'm pretty sure they've missed the playoffs like once. They've been insane.
Actually, I don't think they've missed the playoffs.
They did last year.
Oh, that's true. The San Jose Sharks.
They fired their coach because they missed the playoffs for one season. Could you imagine if other sports were like that? Like
That's
you missed the
crazy.
NFL playoffs in one season and you're just fired. But I mean, I guess if you have a long history of winning, that's kind of how it is.
Yeah.
Vegas has looked great recently. Honestly, I would say they're the best team in the West.
Oh yeah, they're
their
the best
record.
team in the
Their
West.
record shows that, and it's really a three-way race. I'd say between them, Dallas, and Colorado. But I think right now the Golden Knights are playing some of the best hockey in the NHL. Knocked off two quality teams in the last 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Now, how was their trade deadline? Because
Think about it. Think about it. Vegas has. Don't forget about this. Vegas has Eichel, Kessel, Trangelo.
Kessel's
now they have
crazy.
Wig, they have Marchessault. They have. They have.
They got Barbashev. You know
they
what?
have Shea Theodore. They just have a lot of good guys on their team.
Are they helpful or major? Nah, I wouldn't say major dub.
No, I mean it helped them.
They're-
But they're already on a good path.
They're kind of like we are, where they're on a good. They were already a good team, and they just added a couple depth pieces. I think Jonathan Quick will, when it comes to playoff time, we'll see if playoff Jonathan Quick comes back. Because if he does, that's going to be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I like to play the shootout mode in NHL 19.
Jonathan Quick, because he's an older goaltender, and he has a lot of experience, so he can kind of help. Aiden Hill and whoever their other goalie is.
Logan
I don't know who
Thompson?
it is, but
If he comes back.
he can, or Logan Thompson, yeah. He can kind of help them both when it comes to playoff time and kind of show them how to kind of get prepared and what they really need to do. Because Aiden Hill he's not that bad of a goaltender, but he's really not that good. I don't know how we didn't do as well against Vegas the other night.
Our defensive pair, and the national broadcast on TNT kind of said this. Our defensemen sometimes focus too much on keeping the puck in the blue line on offense, which leads to really bad breakaways. And I think one of our two goaltenders is great at stopping breakaways, and one of the two is horrendous at it.
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but every time we've put Ronta in net, we've had a better chance of winning than Anderson.
I 100% agree.
Whenever we needed Ronta to stand on his damn head, he has done it. Whenever we've needed Anderson to stand on his head, he kind of slacks off a little bit. But I will say this, with Ronta being in net, there's been a lot of unlucky bounces.
That's
gone
true.
in, which really Ronta couldn't do much about.
Yeah,
But,
no.
Anderson, there would be some shots where it would be like a beach ball shot, and he just wouldn't even save it somehow. And I don't know how.
Anderson's a very streaky player. There are games where Anderson looks like the best goalie in the NHL, but then there's also games where Antti Raanta looks like the best goalie in the NHL. And honestly, going forward for the Hurricanes, I would say we have two goalie spots. We're not going to do this 3-goalie mess next year because Kochetkov has been playing out of his freaking mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Kochetkov, actually, let's talk about this though. Kochetkov last night scored his
goalie goal.
Yep.
I would love to see goalie goals, even if it is for the Boston Bruins. But Kochetkov has been amazing in the AHL. Has some of the best stats, and I believe he actually beat Alex Nedeljkovic a couple days ago in an AHL game, which another Kings legend.
Proves to you too. But also, here's the thing: is whenever we had Nedeljkovic, we trained him to be we brought him up to be a really, really good goaltender. And then once he went to Detroit, I'm sure half of the stuff he did with Carolina, because obviously how he probably doesn't have as solid as a defense behind him and stuff. He isn't so much of a routine goaltender as he was when he was with Carolina. Like when we had him step up, he was like ready for the NHL, and you just saw it in how he played. And now that he was on Detroit, like he just became absolute dog water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. I would say another team that kind of blew it up, St. Louis Blues.
Mm-hmm.
They blew it up.
Yeah, they've not been having that good of a season either in the grand scheme of things. When did they win the Stanley Cup last? It wasn't
2019.
19. Okay, I was about to say it wasn't long ago, and they're just kind of throwing it right now.
Yep, the glory days of the 2019 St. Louis Blues are gone.
Mm-hmm.
No more. Tarasenko was really their big piece, and Ryan O'Reilly. Barbashev's gone. Like they blew it up. They didn't quite Vancouver it, but they blew it up.
Yeah, and on top of that, Bennington has lost his marbles on probably how many games have been played in the NHL season so far?
I think we're like 62 or 63 games.
Okay, yeah, he's lost his marbles on like 61 of those 62. Bennington is an absolute nut job.
Dude, my favorite moment from Jordan Bennington this year was when he tried to hip check Jordan Stahl and he just got laid out.
That's funny. Yeah, and I think one of the most controversial things that Bennington did was he put his glove on. Who was it?
Was it a Lightning player?
No, it was Penguins.
It was Penguins? I can't remember.
The Penguins won that game, too, which is the funny part. He was just raging.
Speaking of Pittsburgh, where would you put Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh? What did they do?
Let me get some out of the way. Seattle, Stahl. They didn't move.
Yeah.
Let's see. Chicago,
Chicago sold, dude.
Sold or blew it up?
Oh, no, they sold, dude. They got rid of their two number one players, Max Domi and Patrick Kane.
Blow it up. They still have Taves, but they blew it up.
Yeah.
Let's see. Other teams we can get out of the way really quick.
Dude, the Blackhawks got nothing for Domi.
That's
Literally
true.
nothing.
Domi and Dylan Wells for Anton Hudobin in a second-round pick.
They got a bag of Cheetos in return.
I would be so mad if I was a Blackhawks fan right now. Might as well talk about the Stars.
Other team Stars. You know what? Yeah, we'll go to the Stars. Helpful.
Yeah,
I think that's fair to say.
Max Domi is a reliable player. He's not your number one, but when he came to Carolina, he didn't he didn't make absolutely insane stats, but games like that.
Game 7 against Boston, he was amazing.
He just is kind of like a reliable player.
Dude, Domi's that player that when you really need to rely on him, he's really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for real. I mean, because seriously, that Game 7 was crazy.
It was. It was electric, too, especially, this newer guy comes in and he's absolutely crazy.
But also, here's the thing. His father, Ty Domi, was such a grit player. And I think that Max has kind of gotten a mix of that, but also Max knows how to score.
Mm-hmm.
And Max isn't afraid to fight nor take, a hit or give a hit.
That's true. That part's true.
All right. Moving on to another team I think we could talk about, the Calgary Flames. Did they do much of anything?
Let's see.
I don't think so. They
Nothing.
did a little bit. I don't think
they stayed stagnant. They stalled.
Yeah, they really.
Winnipeg. They traded for Nino Niederreiter.
That's true. Niederreiter will be reliable, but
he's all right. I mean, Nino with us was great, but he had so much chemistry with his line mates that it kind of bolstered the way we viewed him, I think. You look at what he did in Nashville, it was kind of basically nothing, and they got Nemestikov and Nino.
That's pretty good.
Is it helpful or is it stall? What did they give away? They just gave away picks. They got better. We'll say helpful.
We'll say helpful, yeah. I think they got some solid players for what they gave away.
Edmonton. I think they just traded.
Anaheim yet?
We have not talked. We can go to Anaheim. Let's go to Anaheim.
I had them pulled up.
The Mighty Ducks of Anaheim.
Anaheim got McGinn, dude. They traded to get McGinn from oh my god.
From Pittsburgh.
From Pittsburgh.
They got Josiah Slavin. Is that Jacob Slavin's little bro? Seriously.
Yeah.
It is?
It is.
Oh, that's an instant dub. That's a major dub. Just kidding. If it would have been Jacob Slavin, it would have been instant dub. But they got rid of Klingberg, Kulikov. Honestly, did they get better? I guess it really depends on how good is Brock McGinn. Like,
Well, Brock McGinn is. I mean, when he was on Carolina, dude, he was crazy. Like he was a grinder, bro. That man.
pause.
You know, actually, I have Brock McGinn's stick, and it's signed by him, which is crazy.
Oh, so you got bias. Okay.
I love McGinn. I'm kind of biased towards McGinn because I love him so much. But like McGinn was that guy that on the third line when you needed him to do something, bro, he was there. I mean, Game 7 against the Capitals.
Yes.
Justin Williams to.
Justin Williams to begin in double overtime, I think.
Yep.
Dude, great. You know, I've got a great story about Brock McGinn. So I have NHL 19 and I have like a My Player career, but you know, those are always broken. If you know how to play the game even remotely, you score a million goals. Me and Brock McGinn tear everybody's power play units a new one. Because me and him were on the first penalty kill unit, and I think I had more shorthanded goals scored for than power play goals allowed. Because of me and Brock McGinn. That being said, I think Brock McGinn kind of. Would you have Slavin and McGinn or the two guys they traded away? I think they're about equal, so I say they stalled. You've had New Jersey put up there like 3 or 4 times now, so I guess we'll get this out of the way.
Everyone's talking about New Jersey because they got Timo Meyer, but I mean, is that really going to be that big for them? Is the question. I don't think so. I mean, I think that Meyer is a great player. I think it's helpful. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's helpful, but I don't know. I mean, it just depends on if New Jersey keeps on doing this weird thing where they go up and then all of a sudden they just start falling down for whatever reason.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go ahead and put the Sharks and blow it up.
Yeah, I mean they traded
because that was really their selling piece, and they got rid of them.
Yep.
All right, I think there is that I can see right now one more major dub on this board.
Okay.
Which is even more unfortunate. It's Boston. Boston has the best record in NHL history up to this point. And they got a lot better at the trade deadline, which shouldn't happen.
Yeah, they got Orlov.
Or not Orlov, Hathaway, Bertuzzi. I mean, they got better, which all they traded away was Craig Smith, and that was not that big of a deal. So I would say that was a major dub for them. Orlov, since going to Boston, has been lights out. It's been amazing for them. All right, I can't talk any more good about Boston. I need to do something else. Pittsburgh. We'll go to Pittsburgh next. There really is no order the way we're doing this, so I apologize for that.
They really didn't get much, and they traded away McGinn. I don't know. I think they were pretty, yeah.
Yeah. You want to say sellers?
I mean,
no, because they got a few.
Yeah. I just don't know what names these are.
Yeah.
Really.
We're not well versed in the entire NHL, or I don't know. Some of maybe no one's probably got the most NHL knowledge out of all of us.
Actually, that's false. You guys probably have a little more from the deadline and stuff.
Well, I've been following it the entire week because I have nothing else to do during my work day. The guys I work with sometimes take probably 2 hours of the day for smoke breaks, so I have to do something with my time. I'll go to Tampa Bay just because.
Can we talk about like Minnesota or?
Oh, we want to do Minnesota next.
Or we can do who did I just see? There was someone who Colorado even.
Okay, we'll go to
all these big teams, man. Let's go to Colorado.
Go to Colorado.
Lars Eller and a couple other guys.
That's true. Jack Johnson, Lars Eller.
They traded away like nobody important really.
Did they have a major dub or did they just get better?
Just got better.
I think they got better.
I think they got better.
I mean, Colorado is still a pretty stacked team.
And Colorado just recently got Keith Kincaid.
Yeah, they did.
He's not a horrible goaltender, but he's not a good goaltender either. But they got a goaltender who's older that they can
mentor the young guys with.
Get back up running.
I don't know what you're talking about. I think they should have just stuck with Kemper. He's an all-star. He's just so good, you know.
That's true.
Kemper's on.
He's on Washington now.
Capitals
Yeah,
He's
Washington.
absolutely
They should have kept Darcy Kemper after how he played last year.
Kemper. I was being sarcastic. I mean, he's not the worst ever, but I think. I mean, he won a cup. What else can you say about him, really? I don't know. I don't think he's been doing that great this season, but of course he is on a different team.
I think the Colorado last year, because of how much talent they really had besides their goaltending,
Mm-hmm.
just made it a whole lot better. Like,
Yeah.
They have damn Kel Yakar, who
Mhm.
could actually do whatever you wanted him to do, offense or defense, and he backed Kemper up a lot on that first pairing of defense.
Yeah, I think right now you're
That's
seeing.
why Kemper was so good last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now you're seeing a more raw and in the flesh. Kemper.
This Colorado team is not what won the cup last year. I
Mhm.
think they're quite a bit worse off than they were last year. Let's see. I want to talk about.
Well, they're definitely worse, but
I'm
they
talking about
just got
Edmonton.
better from the trades. They definitely got better.
All right, I'm moving to Edmonton now.
From what I'm seeing now.
I'm going to Edmonton. Oh, They got Ekholm and traded away. I can't even say his name yet. And he's on my team.
Oh, Pugliarvi.
Pugliarvi.
Pugliarvi. Yeah.
Pugliarvi.
I think Ekholm
I think
over
Ekholm.
Pugliarvi is probably a dub for the Oilers.
I think so too.
'Cause,
Not
I
a
mean,
major dub though. I don't think.
Pugliarvi was kind of. I mean, I think Waddell said it great when he said he'll fit with us better.
Yeah.
Edmonton, he wasn't really fitting in as well with, which is of course why they traded him or why they had their judgment to trade him. I think
No,
Ekholm is
he's
a
won
plus.
it. He's won it out of Edmonton for a while too. I'm purposely saving our team for later on so I can actually talk about them for a while.
Yeah.
We never actually did get to Tampa. We can do Ottawa, Philly. Actually, I'm pretty sure Philly stayed just about stagnant.
Are you telling me Tony D'Angelo didn't get traded? No way. No way. Let's see where.
So here's the thing: the Canes didn't do that many moves, and we were in. I think we were gonna get D'Angelo back. I thought.
They were in talks about it for a little bit, but I think
it's Pittsburgh. Wrong Pennsylvania team.
Let's see. Who else? They were talking about trying to get some forward.
They were trying to trade away Van Riemsdyk, but they couldn't do it.
Struggling, Philadelphia.
For right now, I'm just gonna say they're at stall.
Yeah.
That's Pittsburgh again.
Where I clicked on Philadelphia.
Go up.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
They got Brendan Lemieux. They stayed. They stayed. You said Minnesota had some good moves. They did actually.
I mean, we just haven't talked about him yet.
I think Minnesota did pretty well.
To see what moves they made, but I saw their name a little bit. I'm looking to see what they did.
Yeah, go ahead and let's see what Minnesota did. They're definitely a team that was buying, so they might have had a really good one.
Well, the Capitals.
They got Klingberg, Johansson, and Nyquist. Oh man, hang on. I take it back. Minnesota Wild was a major dub. They had a whoo man. They loaded. I don't know how many of those are rentals or not, but they got way better.
And I mean their number.
Well, they also got Marcus Johansson.
Yep.
Yeah, so they did great. They didn't really trade away much either.
Minnesota did a lot, dude. Minnesota got Nyquist too, bro. Damn.
Dude, Minnesota loaded. They might have underratedly had the most complete trade deadline. Sort of.
They went under the weather with all that, man.
Under the radar. Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't say they were as good as the Rangers, but they definitely did good. They did really good.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got 6 teams left.
Wait, speaking of the Wild real quick, didn't Ryan Reeves score his first goal of the season the other day? I just thought about that.
I think he might have.
I thought that was just kind of funny though.
He scored a really good goal too. It was like a bad end goal. It was crazy.
Yeah, he has 1 goal, 7 assists on this season, and he's played 54 games.
Oh my word! That's like an entire season of Andrei Svechnikov's beginning of the year.
True.
I don't think y'all said this yet, but I don't know if I heard it, but the Wild getting a Klingberg.
Yeah, I said that. Klingberg. They loaded up. Let's see. We'll go
They
to
did a lot.
Tampa Bay.
I don't think they did anything.
This one's a bit interesting because they didn't really do much to their roster right now.
O'Reilly.
That's
Oh, wait.
Toronto. They didn't. Honestly, they got Janelle, but they traded away a lot. Honestly, I think. Should we say sellers just because of the amount of picks they gave up?
Yeah. That's
I
I
think- I don't think Tanner Janelle is that big of a piece. This is gonna be a hot take, which my channel has become known for at some points, but Tampa sold a little bit. But I think that really continues up with what happened this offseason. After losing the Cup to Colorado, they definitely lost some of their pieces. They had a rough offseason.
Yeah.
All right, we got 5 teams left. We got 2 Canadian teams. Let's go ahead and knock out the Canadians.
All right.
Montreal.
They did not do that crap.
No, they didn't.
I
No.
believe they stayed, didn't they?
Yeah. They just pretty much completely stayed. Yeah.
Stagnant. They stalled. Ottawa.
They absolutely, Jordan and Eric stalled. Ottawa, actually, they didn't do too bad. They gave up a little bit, but they got back, I think, some guys. Let's see, who the hell did they get? I'm looking.
I practically only want to click on this one. It's just Senators just are so boring.
Obviously, Ottawa got Chitrin.
Yeah, they did.
Or weird.
Where did Ottawa go?
Send me to Brazil.
Yeah, Brett got sent to Brazil by the NHL website or whatever this is.
There we go. got
Oh my
Chitrin.
god, that's funny.
They got better. Honestly, they
They
got.
only got one piece, though, I think, didn't they?
Yeah, and they traded away
Yeah,
a
it looked
first
like-
and second.
Oh, they sold.
They sold,
They sold their future.
Well, no. Ottawa just acquired also Patrick Brown from Philly.
That's true.
We
Well,
talked about Philly yet?
yeah, we did. We kind of said they didn't do much. But if they traded away somebody, well, I'm going to move them down to sellers. All right. We'll go to Nashville. The one notable move I can remember from Nashville is that they traded away Nino Niederreiter.
It doesn't affect them too much.
That doesn't do anything.
Philly, they didn't- I'm looking to see if they've done anything else.
There were rumors that they were going to trade UC Soros at one point. I was like, what?
Wow, they
UC
traded
Soros-
for a lot.
All right,
Wow.
I'll give you I'm obviously a big.
Dude,
I'm a
what?
big guy
Oh
for
my God, they
UC.
blew up their roster.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and give y'all something that's about him. Is UC Soros is a small goaltender, and usually in the NHL they don't really want a small goaltender; they want a big guy. But UC Soros is super athletic, and it really shows if you look at his games and how he plays. Man, he is so good, and it's one of those things that's like that really proves in the NHL it doesn't matter your size for goaltending, because you can play really, really well in net. I mean, no matter what. And also, like, it could be a 2-foot thing that he needs to cover, and he'll cover it really fast.
Yeah.
From how athletic he is.
I think
He's really small, but really good.
I think based on the amount of picks they got, based on what they got for trades, they kind of blew it up. I think Nashville is currently looking towards the future, and I think they gave away some of their pieces that they really needed
But they didn't
for
say
this
to
year.
say.
They got actively worse. All right, second to last team, the New York Islanders. Another big piece that I almost completely forgot about.
Yeah, I mean, of course, everyone talks about Bo Horvat.
The first big trade of the trade deadline month, I guess we could call it. Bo Horvat. And they lost Anthony Beauvillier. They got better. I think that's about it.
I think, yeah.
I think
They got one other guy. Hold on. I just saw it like 2 seconds ago.
Pierre Engvall.
Yeah.
Engvall.
They got Engvall from Toronto.
Mm-hmm. And so we've come to our last.
Islanders got better.
I think so too. And we've come to our last team. which I've kind of been saving the Carolina Hurricanes for last because us three know more about the Hurricanes than probably like every other NHL fan, every other team combined almost.
Yeah.
We had a typical Hurricanes trade deadline, I would say. Apart from the Shea and Trocheck off trade deadline, we do not build teams in March/February. We build them in the off season and through our through drafts. We don't pick up our best players through trades really.
Yeah, I would say personally that they did a helpful trade.
We got better. We got better. Helpful.
But the major moves that the Canes made was, of course, like you said, in the preseason/offseason.
Dude, Brent Burns.
Oh
my God.
Massive. Now, of course, Max Pacioretty.
I hate this with a passion. At the fact that we got Pacioretty and he got injured like 2 games or 3 games.
Yeah, he played.
Being actually healthy again.
He played 5 games.
Yeah.
I was at the first one and the last one.
He came in and actually, like, after his injury was over, and he was starting to dominate, like, from the get-go.
I think he had 3 goals in his first 2 games.
Promising.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, for what the Canes had to give up for Pacioretty, which is literally nothing.
Dude, we gave up a Bojangles biscuit, bro.
Yes.
We gave up one of our free Bowberry power play biscuits.
Yeah, no.
For Max Pacioretty.
They gave away a BioSteel for it, and I mean, you got to take that trade if you're down 1-0. I mean, Max Pacioretty has a bit of a record of being glass bones, right? Which is a risk that you sometimes have to make. But considering that not only did they get Pacioretty, but they also got Coughlin, who hasn't played at all, but still, they got another guy out.
He played when Slavin was out, and he actually, our team when Slavin was out did not lose a game.
That's true.
We won every game when Jacob Slavin was out, and Coughlin was on that 4th line with Dehan, and they played great.
They did.
He's an underrated piece. Unfortunately, he's definitely not going to get playing time now because he's second on the bench. So we don't want injuries to happen, of course, but you've got the top 4 are set pretty much permanently as long as they're in the line, as long as they're not hurt. And then I think Chatfield has kind of worked himself into that number 5 defenseman spot. I think he's a solid piece to the lineup that's not going to be moving out.
Yeah. I agree.
So at this point, you've got Das Despair, you've got Dehan, and you've got Coughlin, all kind of bowing for one defense position.
You guys are forgetting one big piece. Y'all are forgetting one big piece of the Canes defense, and I'm going to just go ahead and say it. Brent Burns, baby.
We already discussed Brent Burns.
Well, I was wanting to talk about more.
He came into the Hurricanes organization and absolutely has done phenomenal.
Yeah.
Career resurgence.
I'm going to be very sad whenever he leaves.
He's not. He's retiring a Hurricane. Actually, he probably won't. He'll probably sign on one day with the Sharks and retire a Shark. But we're not going to get into that right now. Brent Burns and career resurgence is often used kind of loosely where it really shouldn't be. But I would say Brent Burns has almost had a career resurgence this year in Carolina. And I know this is not a trade deadline thing, but you know what? It's a hockey video, and I've actually got people here who know hockey. So I'm going to talk about this. But Brent Burns this year has been Tony DeAngelo last year, but better in every way. He's a better leader. He's a better person. He is. I would say he has a better shot. I would say he's more liked by the team. He does not get injured.
Yep.
He scores more goals than Tony DeAngelo did. DeAngelo might have had more assists, but and the thing that sticks out with me about Brent Burns is, compared to DeAngelo, you didn't really notice when Tony DeAngelo was on the ice.
That's true.
When he was playing for the Canes, it was like, oh, DeAngelo was part of that goal. With Brent Burns on the ice, you're like, oh, there's Brent Burns.
Well, the thing that
here's the thing about Brent Burns. Is Brent Burns plays a 200-foot game. He will play both offense and defense, whatever you need. And on the penalty kill, he will do whatever you need him to do. He is just an all-around great guy. He'll score goals. He'll put up assists. He'll poke check. He'll do whatever you pretty much need him to do. He'll even block a lot of shots. And that's also something that Brett Pesce will do.
Oh, yeah.
Which just makes the Canes defense so good.
100%. I mean, I think arguably about Burns, the biggest, I guess, factor to what makes Burns so good for this team is that he adds shots, which is something that we've needed.
He might be leading the team in shots this year.
He might be. And, I mean, here's the thing. It's better to take good accuracy shots than take a crap load of shots that are going nowhere. But Burns has a laser. He's very on target, and he's actually willing to take shots, which is something that we need in a lot of times. You know, our power play has notoriously been bad, and the reason why is because we try to set up the perfect shot instead of taking a shot that we might need to make. And Burns, I think, adds a lot to that. He is a laser when it comes to hitting the puck towards the net, and I think that's something that's contributed to a lot of Hurricanes' goals. I mean, he has 37 assists and 12 goals.
4 yesterday.
Yeah, 4 yesterday. 37 assists. 49 points total and 12 goals. I think Burns contributes a lot to the Hurricanes actually making plays.
I think the one thing that kind of irks me about Burns is sometimes there are times I would like to see his set up plays instead. But, I mean, I feel Burns' game on the blue line is he throws a lot of pucks on net.
Yeah.
Which, we're not a deflection-heavy team.
Yeah.
There's one line on the Hurricanes that gets deflection goals, and it's the stall line.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to see Burns do a bit more in terms of like passing, but I mean at the same time you have to shoot it at some point. I mean, if we're getting 50 shots a game and losing, shout out to Anaheim, it just happens. But Burns has been playing great, and then we have one more piece we haven't even talked about yet, Jesse Puljujarvi.
I think he's going to be a good fit, especially for the value that we got him for. I think he's going to work well. Of course, his debut has not occurred yet. It's going to occur on Tuesday in Montreal. Because he isn't getting, he's got a passport.
Doesn't have his visa yet.
Yeah, he has a visa appointment Monday, and he's actually going to meet the team for the first time in Montreal on Tuesday against the Canadiens. I think he's going to be a good addition. I think they got him for, they got him for a great price.
Low risk, high reward.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think
that's just how Don Waddell's been. Every move that Don Waddell has made in the last couple of years has not been some big blockbuster thing. A lot of Hurricanes fans, and I'm sure y'all can attest to this, we were all looking at the big pieces like Horvat, Timo Meier, Schmaltz. We're all looking at these big forwards that are like game-changing forwards and stuff. But if you look at the asking prices for those players and what we did not give up to get somebody that we necessarily didn't have to have, I think makes Waddell even more of a genius because he's able to just say, you know what, I get that everybody wants to see this, but we're doing what's best for the team and for the future. I mean, what happens if Meyer or Horvat, teams which gave up everything to get, what happens if they flop? Like, what happens if Timo Meier stays injured for the rest of the season and doesn't play a game for the Devils?
Yeah.
That immediately changes their ranking from helpful to seller immediately.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Yeah, I think my philosophy with what the Canes did is that they had to do something. And by saying something, I mean they got some major stuff going on right now. Of course, Pacioretty, unfortunately, ended up not turning out to be that much this season. We'll see what happens with him in the future. I don't really know what might happen. But he was kind of a flop. But, of course, you never know when flops like that are going to happen.
Yeah.
But with Burns being added, with some of the moves that the Canes have been making, with the fact that this team seems to be coming together even more and more as the seasons pass, I think they just had to make a move to get a couple of new faces in, players that are decent, but like you said, didn't have to cost that much, and just add depth to the team. I mean, yeah, the Rangers got Tarasenko and Kane. The Bruins did some major stuff, Maple Leafs, but I think with the lineup that we have right now, all we had to do is we had to just get a couple of good value players. And I think they will add enough to the team that we're still going to be just about as equal.
We should come out. We right now on paper, I still think are the best Metro team. We are by far the deepest Metro team. In fact, I would argue that we are, let's see, how many solid players deep are we in? We're 6 solid in defense.
Mm-hmm.
We have 6 defenders that can be playing on first lines on other teams.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of forwards, I'd say we're just about 9 deep. Like, I would say we are 9 first line forwards deep.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like our players are necessary. I mean, in terms of well-known throughout the NHL, not many are, except, of course, obviously, Aho and Svechnikov. Those are pretty well-known
Hey,
players.
be looking out for Seth Jarvis, though, in the near future. I
That's
think his
true.
personality is starting to catapult him into stardom.
That's true. I think he has some potential in terms of that. But, I mean, in terms of star power, it's not absolutely insane like a bunch of the other more deep-rooted teams, like the original 6 teams and stuff like that. But in terms of solid players, we have a bunch of them. And like really good players too.
And I know I said we were 9 deep, but I mean, honestly, if you watched the game against Arizona last night, Stefan Nason on the power play,
Nason has been
his
good.
goalie screens were unreal. Like, we scored 2 power play goals in like a 5-minute span, and Nason was like standing there doing a T-pose in front of the goalie for both of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's been surprising which players have just come out of the weeds because, I mean, Jarvis has had a great season. I mean, he's had great seasons in the past, but I think arguably this year he's had the best season so far. Jordan Martinook, he took a line, he upped himself in the line, and he's done really good as well. And Stefan Nason has been a shock to be as good as he has been.
And then I mean, that's not even the biggest jump. The biggest jump this year by far is Marty Necas.
That's true.
Marty Necas has been unreal for the Canes. We almost traded him too. And so, I mean, I know that this is a trade deadline video, and I'm really getting into depth on the Hurricanes here, but I mean that's just what we're kind of specialized in. So we'll definitely talk about that quite a bit. But I'm gonna bring in one last thing here, and honestly, I got bracket fights here. Can I find one of like the current NHL playoffs? Probably not. No, definitely not. I would say, and we'll kind of wrap up with this. If you're looking at how many teams on this list could you see winning a cup this year? Like, how many would you feel decently confident in? Or we'll even say conference finals, because I feel like cup is too limited for the amount of actual like top-end good teams here.
Yeah.
How many teams do you guys feel have a realistic shot of winning a cup?
I guess
Honestly,
I'll go. Or yeah, you go first, Noah.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Go ahead, Noah.
All right. Honestly, and I'm gonna have a big hot take on this one. People can either flame me or agree. The 2 teams who I think have the biggest shot to win the cup are the Canes and Boston. If either one of those teams makes the final, they're going to be tough teams to beat. And I think out of the West, the only team that has a possibility, I think, of getting it is most likely Vegas. Vegas might go to the cup this year, and I think the cup will either be Canes in Vegas or Bruins in Vegas. I don't see how anyone else could be making that cup final. I mean, obviously the Rangers have just added a whole lot to their team, and so far I don't think it's really been working. But I'm sure they're going to need a little bit more chemistry. But if the Rangers even make it to the cup final or anywhere near it, they're going to be really, really lucky. But if you really do, now that I just kind of said it, is the Canes, when it comes to playoffs, we either play really, really well, or we underestimate a team like the Rangers, and we decide to play really horrible.
Yeah, we have to win or
we have to beat the Rangers this year. And that's not me just saying that because, we need to win a cup. But if we lose, in a hypothetical scenario, we lose to the Rangers this year, we're screwed. Because at that point, we have a new boogeyman. Remember what happened when we couldn't beat Boston a couple of years back?
Yeah.
We ran into Boston. We would smoke everyone in the playoffs, run into Boston, and get our pants kicked in. And then right after that, it was Tampa. We would play good, run into Tampa, boom, gone. If the Rangers become that team, that's bad. Because unlike those Boston and Tampa teams, I don't think the Rangers are going away anytime soon. I don't think they're going to get actively worse and bump themselves down. I think they are going to get better. All right, Brett, how many teams do you realistically see having a shot at the Stanley Cup?
Okay, I'm going to throw out more teams than Noah just because I'm also a low-risk guy. For the West, it's hard to decide because so many are just kind of mid, honestly. In the West, I can easily see the Stars and the Golden Knights as being top contenders out of there. I know the Stars are kind of those are kind of a throw-up in my opinion.
Cold.
Yeah, I think Vegas is the stronger team out of those two, but I still think the Stars have a good chance at the same time. Those are my top two teams out of the West. And of course, out of the East, I think that, of course, the Rangers, because they've added a lot of people, of course, they're on a little bit of a decline right now. But if I'm honest, I don't see that lasting like a very long time. I think they'll win a game, realize that they got some chemistry, start to train up a little bit more, and I think they'll start winning more games again. Obviously, Boston, they've just been a dominant team this year. I don't see anything happening to them, really. I mean, I want to jinx them, so I will say that without saying knock on wood or anything. But I definitely see them. New Jersey, it depends. If they decide to be crap again, no. But if they decide to start doing good, they can still make it far. And then the Canes, I think that they have a solid chance. The thing is, that one I'll knock wood on. But it just depends on what they want to do. We need to win a road game through the playoffs. And if we don't win a road game at the playoffs, we're not winning the cup. Because that's not how that works.
Yeah, that's true. I'm about to say we could, but well, actually, we definitely could. We're number 2, as long as we don't play Boston.
That's true.
But that's a big if.
Yeah.
And not win. So I'm gonna jump into mine now, and I'm gonna stick with 3 teams in each division.
Okay.
Or in each conference. Go to the West real quick.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Golden Knights, I feel like, are the golden standard for the West right now. I feel like they are the most complete team. They're playing the best hockey right now. They're on the best. I mean, they're on a good. I think they're on a win-2 streak, but they've been playing really good recently. I think the Stars are very underrated, even though they're first in their division. I think the Stars with Jake Ottinger and net can just miraculously, like, kind of remember what happened with Montreal a couple years ago where they made the cup out of freaking nowhere. I never think the Stars could have that type of run. And then I think
really, the only reason that Montreal made it was because literally Carey Price was just standing on his head.
Yeah.
Like, for real.
And
Carey Price had a year that year.
I think the Minnesota Wild are the other team I could see making it. Neither of y'all mentioned that, and I was kind of surprised about it. I think the Wild are getting they loaded up at the deadline, and they've got some players with some playoff experience now. So I think the Wild are a good shot. As for the East, obviously the Bruins. I mean, if you're at a historical winning pace that has never been done before, you can't say they're not Cup favorites at this point. Let's see, I got to pick 3 teams. I'm going to knock one out. The Devils are not Cup contenders this year, which is a hot take because they're 3rd in the NHL. But they do not have they have no playoff experience on their team, really. I don't think the Devils' style of hockey is suited for the Stanley Cup playoffs right now. To me, the Devils right now are like the MJ Bulls from the 80s. They need to get that experience and build them up to get them over the hump, which is scary because I don't want the Devils winning 6 cups in the next decade. So let's hope my analogy is sort of correct there, but sort of not. I think the Hurricanes have a good shot. I think really that depends on if we have both Ronta and Anderson in the playoffs. If we have only one, I don't think we make it. If we have them both, which, knock on wood, the last couple months they both stayed healthy. I think
Can I give you a real quick hot take?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give a hot take real fast about the Canes.
Go for it.
If we play Ronta in the playoffs, I feel we have a better shot than if we play Anderson. Because here's the thing, because Anderson is supposed to be our quote unquote like franchise goalie, he has to make more saves than we think he does, and we give up way too many chances against him, and he never fully stands on his head. Ronta will stand on his damn head. It's just a blatant a really big factor. And if we didn't have that Ronta as our goalie who can actually do that, we would have been screwed. And obviously next year we have, as we were all saying about, Kachekhov's going to come up or whatever. But I think Kachekov, if he came into the NHL again and he played how he did in December,
he
would
was
be
great.
Pretty damn well for the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I think, honestly, Ronta's got a backup syndrome, which I don't know if you guys have heard of backup syndrome before, but it's like when you're gifted your opportunity because you're a backup, you go out and shine. And I think Ronta, I mean, it's hard to say he's a backup right now because he's broken Cam Ward's record from consecutive games with a point. And he doesn't start but like a quarter of the games. Like, I don't understand what we're doing right now.
3 shutouts.
He's got, well, Kochetkov has 3 shutouts, but I don't get it. Ronta needs to start more, and they need to realize it. I don't know who needs to hear that in the organization.
It's because of what I said. It's because of what I said about Anderson. He's literally supposed to be our quote-unquote franchise goaltender.
Yeah.
And because he is our franchise goalie, we aren't going to start Ronta that much. It's the same how Mrazek and Reimer was. Except Reimer didn't. Actually, Reimer kind of could stand on his head, but he wasn't the worst, but he wasn't the best. And
Reimer was not anti-Ronta.
Also wasn't the worst, but Ronta obviously is better than Reimer, and I'll say that with a. People can flame me for that, but it's just the damn truth.
Well, and Anderson's better than Mrazek, so.
Also, that's true, but also Anderson won't stand on his head unless we really, really need him to. But also, I'll give Anderson this: he doesn't make very flashy saves or anything that like shows that he, deserves anything more than what he has.
Freddie just has to keep. He's got to keep stuff out of his head too.
Freddie's too much of an emotional goalie.
Yeah.
If Freddie keeps a level head, he is the better goalie on the team. I think Freddie's potential, like if you take who would be greater if they were playing their best, I would have Freddie over Ronta. But I feel like right now Ronta is just he's been so consistently good the last 4 months. Like, I don't see a scenario right now where in any bit I would take Freddie undoubtedly over Ronta.
Yeah. The thing is, our goalies have been good in their own ways, I think. I think in terms of reliability and consistency, Ronta is the easy winner. If we're talking about the goalie who has played the best throughout our season as like in a general statement, I would say Kochetkov, legitimately. On his streak, when he was winning
true. Kochetkov's streak was great.
Now, of course, he kind of fell off after, and that's because he tweaked something during his game against New Jersey, which was a great game, by the way. He almost had a shutout. Everybody was yelling "Cooch."
Stars scored 7.
Yeah, the Stars have scored.
They scored 7 goals. I still have one more team to name.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Let me go back to this real quick. I was actually gonna look at some Hurricane stuff, but I already knocked the Devils out of it.
Yep.
I have one more team from the East to pick.
I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Even though you probably hate to say it, I think it's pretty obvious.
And I'm like a huge hater. But dude, Columbus is going all the way this year.
Yeah, you think?
No, it's the Rangers. I said it. The Rangers are good. I hate it.
They're really good.
I hate it. I hate it
They're
a lot.
really good.
I take the Rangers over Tampa. I take them over not Montreal. Toronto. Toronto's got too many demons. All right, there it is. I think Boston's got the best chance to win the Cup. Carolina's got 2. Vegas at 3. Dallas at 4. New York at 5.
Really?
Actually, no. Minnesota at 5. New York at 6.
Wow.
Well, because New York has to get.
Honestly, I think the Rangers are better than Minnesota.
No, because New York has to get through the Canes and the Bruins. Minnesota does not have to go through the Canes and the Bruins. The Rangers are a better team than the Stars. The Rangers are a better team than the Stars and the Wild, but they have to play the Bruins and Canes. So.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
All right, guys.
The East is just packed compared to the West.
It is.
Oh yeah, big time.
All right, well, we're running a bit long. I'm almost at an hour and 15 minutes on this. So, Noah, thanks for coming on. You too, Brett. Thanks for coming on the show. Definitely looking forward to having y'all on again. We're gonna have to do some stuff come later March, mid-April when playoff time starts coming up.
Definitely.
But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Click subscribe, click like, tell some of your friends, help promote the channel a little bit. Join the Discord. I haven't promoted it in a while. That'll be linked in the description down below. And appreciate y'all watching. Until next time, peace. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Click here to see another video that YouTube thinks you should watch, and click here to subscribe to our channel.